Welcome everyone to the Thomson Reuters Answers On series. Today we're talking climate change and sustainability. Delighted to say that we're joined by Christiana Figueres, convener at Mission 2020. Of course, and I'm going to say this, Christiana, the architect of the Paris Climate Accord. That will always stay with you. And Deb Walton, MD Customer Proposition at Thomson Reuters. Great to see you as well, Deb. Let's start with the context, and then we'll come on to what the corporates are doing. How optimistic are you about the context post-Paris? Was it oversold? Are corporates doing enough?
Well, nobody's doing enough, but we're all walking in the right direction. What we really have to increase now is the speed of the transformation. But it's definitely picking up, and I'm actually quite optimistic after a few days here in Davos, precisely by seeing more capital shifting over, more corporates joining because they understand that it's good for their business, that it's good for their client base, it's good for their business continuity. So the logic, the fundamental logic of actually decarbonizing our society is becoming more and more evident to everyone.
And, you know, we've done a lot of work as well. We put out this Global 250 report on what big companies are doing. But, Deb, tell me how you think the discussion, the whole ESG and sustainability discussion is changing.
Yeah, so look, I think in some countries around the world, like Australia, for instance, the ESG mandate for investing has been, you know, a topical one for a long time. But now, you know, we're seeing it in all of our conversations. And I think many of us have seen the world's largest asset manager just last week issue a letter to shareholders really driving home the mandate for ESG, climate change, and many of the biggest global growth funds in the world now rebadging themselves and really focusing with an ESG mandate.
It's sad, though, isn't it, that it takes a letter from Larry Fink, almost a threat from Larry Fink to big companies to make things happen. I mean, why does it take something like this? Shouldn't these companies be doing this anyway?
Well, yes, and I think, 20 years from now, they'll look back and go, well, why did it take us so long? Right. But, I actually think what is very fantastic about the whole challenge on climate change is that it is climate change that is opening the door to all of the other ESG issues, right? The environmental, the social, and the governance issues. It is really the pressure from climate that has actually brought through, it's spearheading a huge transformation in corporate decision-making and in capital shifting. And that is one of the things that I think is so exciting about climate. That's why I'm an optimist, because we're not just going... A stubborn optimist, because we're not just going to decarbonize society. This is really a fundamental transformation across many other agendas as well, spearheaded by climate change.
I imagine this is something we speak to our customers more and more about. What are you hearing from them? Because let's face it, our customers are a lot of these big corporations around the world.
Yeah, so look, I think, Christina's right. I think this is an imperative and the momentum is growing and all of us have a role to play. I think for Thomson Reuters, as the world's leading information company, our role is to use the information to really shine a light on where the opportunities are for change. I'm a believer in the adage, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And, what we're doing, you mentioned the Global 250, really identifying the world's, top 250 emitters who, by the way, are contributing 30% of our global emissions, by shining the light on, those trouble spots and also setting the role models for the exemplars. I think that really is part of the social pressure and change that we have to bring to bear.
Axel, just before we came on, Deb and I were talking about millennials, right? And I think that is such a part of the transformation. And the fun thing for me is many of these people come and ask me, these young people come and ask me for, can they have 5 or 10 minutes of my time because they're getting ready for an interview with a corporation. Yeah. Well, the fun thing is, they're not asking me to help them get ready for the questions they're going to be asked. They want me to help them to prepare the questions they're going to ask the corporations because they're putting the corporations really under the microscope. They want to know, are these corporations really serious about having a triple bottom line? And if they're not serious, if it's just PR, they don't want to work there. Yeah. So the fun thing is they're really, being very, very demanding of the kind of corporation that they want to work for.
Look, I think, the correlation between, social contribution and business performance is being, continually shown to be true. Now, you can argue if it's cause or effect, but the best companies understand the role that they have to play.
The sustainability premium,
exactly.
Right?
And to Christina's point, if you want to attract employees or millennials as employees, if if you want them as investors, if you want them as consumers, you cannot just have a single focus on the bottom line. You really have to focus on your contribution to the world.
One final question, and response from both of you. I mean, we're supposed to do this for 3 minutes, but we could go on for half an hour easily. And you and I have talked about this. You know, my kids ask me pretty much every other week when we're going to buy our electric car, and I tell them it's too expensive when the price comes down, and that's one of the problems here, isn't it? But how quickly we're moving on batteries and battery costs and all of this stuff. Are we underestimating the ingenuity of man in solving this problem?
Well, we're underestimating the time we may have to apply that ingenuity. Okay? But you know, it's picking up pace. So I'm sure it didn't go unnoticed to you, Axel, that all of the major car companies came out in the past 3 months to really establish a very clear deadline by which time they will have transformed their entire production line, all their models, over to electric vehicles. And of course, that's sending a huge signal to all the battery manufacturers that they need to hurry up as well.
Yep. Final word, just on the whole piece.
Look, I think if you talk about humans and human change, I think, you know, it's all about AI. It's all about AI, not machines replacing humans, but machines making humans smarter. I was at a lunch yesterday where someone said maybe it's about machines making us better humans.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to stop it there. Thank you so much to both of you. Deb Walton, Christiana Figueres. That was Answers on Climate and Sustainability. I'm Axel Threlfall.